Hi everyone, I decided to re-record our next warm-up video because we did not end up using one today. So I wanted to make sure that we would be able to have one that was more specific for our next warm-up. So here goes. When we started reading A Retrieved Reformation, we were going over just basically the exposition of the story. So now as we begin to get into really more of the depths of the story, here are a few things that I want you to pay attention to and to take notes on throughout the rest of the reading. You've all seen a story arc before, and of course we need to remember all of the components of a story arc. So in a plot, you have the exposition, followed by the inciting incident. That's what causes the conflict to begin. It's not the conflict itself, it's what causes the conflict to begin. That's where you have the rising action, lots of events start to build up. The climax is the turning point of the story. That is not always the highest point of action. I know that's what you were told when you were younger, but that is something that is misleading. Not every story has tons and tons of action. Some stories do, some stories do not. But it's when the protagonist has an important decision to make, and they do have to take an action, but it's not always the amazing, momentous sword fight or whatever. And from that point on, resolution is imminent. It's going to happen. Resolution, remember, is not always happily ever after. Things don't always work out the way that the protagonist would want them to work out. So that is what we need to remember as we are reading through A Retrieved Reformation. We've talked about some of the character traits for our protagonist. Also pay attention to some of the character motives, not just for the protagonist, but for some of the other characters as well as you are reading. Beyond that, you not only want to pay attention to who the protagonist is, but you also want to pay attention to who the antagonist, or antagonists plural, might be. Antagonists do not have to be evil, just like a protagonist is not necessarily always a quote-unquote good person. So all an antagonist does is they provide a conflict for the protagonist. And conflict is something that causes us to grow and change. Keep that in mind as you read the story. I also want you to pay attention to what types of conflicts, both internal and external, Jimmy Valentine is going to experience throughout the course of the story, and write those down. Internal conflicts, of course, are ones that he struggles within for himself, and external conflicts are the ones that he doesn't have control over entirely. Those are the ones that other people are involved in. Okay, that's all I've got for you now. So as soon as this video is over, you are actually going to work in your table groups today. And you are going to finish reading A Retrieved Reformation. And you can go back and respond to the prompts given in this video. As you read, you're going to go back and look for all of those different elements from literary devices and such, the elements of plot, and then we will, as a class before the end of the period, go over the story. So with your goal being that the last 10 minutes we should be able to go over the story. Get started reading. Thanks.